psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D. Here we go now. Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. The wellness scene with Dr. D.
Welcome, everyone, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. So glad you're joining us whenever you're joining us, possibly live this evening, Monday, May 20th, 2019, for our newest and next broadcast. Maybe you're joining us 2 years from now as you listen through the archives. Any way you're listening to us right now, we're just grateful that you're with us. And if you're with us, what does that mean to be with us? Well, what that means is to be with Dr. Dean. What that means is to be on the right side, on the right frequency, on the right vibration of health, vitality, and well-being, the natural way, a way that doesn't rely on drugs and devices, which weren't meant for your body in the first place, but a way that it relies on formulas and substances and nutrients that come from nature, come from the natural ecosystem of your body, come from Dr. Dean's creativity and her amazing brain that had the wisdom to not just focus on body systems or body organs, but to focus on the cell, ladies and gentlemen, at a cellular level. Each little cell in your body, like a major factory, all having its own requirements. And she had the wisdom to focus on that cell and to bring it one of its most essential and basic nutrients, and that's magnesium, and then radiating out from there all the other things that we talk about on this show. Minerals, we talk about protein, we talk about amino acids, we talk about great stuff, water, and we talk about air and breathing and movement and everything. All are enhanced and expanded upon tremendously by our one little main friend, magnesium. Dr. Dean, the author of The Magnesium Miracle, will be joining us tonight for 2 straight hours. She's going to be talking about her passion, educating you on magnesium and minerals, how to remineralize your body. She's going to be talking about the things that she knows, which is a whole heck of a lot because she's been at this over 50 years, ladies and gentlemen. And she's going to be talking about the things that are going to make a difference for you. Why? How do we know that? How can we say that? How can we guarantee that that's going to happen? Because we're going to be answering your questions and we're going to be taking your phone calls. So that's how we know it's going to make a difference for you. So before we get started and I bring Dr. Dean on, I just also want to say that what we don't do on the show is give medical advice. It's a big no-no with the FDA, and plus you wouldn't want to call into a radio show and get medical advice. You want to be taking care of properly your body and all your nutritional assets and everything. But what Dr. Dean's going to do is describe what she would do if it were her in your shoes, which is a little bit different. So she will give you some sound, common sense, sage wisdom for your decision-making prowess, but of course we recommend that all things are reviewed by your family physician or whoever you get your local medical counsel from. That's according to the FDA. We always like to say those things to keep them happy. And speaking of happy, it is my complete and total joy to be working with and partnering with Dr. Carolyn Dean on this show. It's just an absolute joy every single Monday. And so we bring her on and welcome her again this Monday evening. Hello, Carolyn. Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, Jenny. I will not come on unless I get the yay. That starts me off. That's like an intravenous of joy. And I'm ready to tackle anything and anybody and even people who have done me wrong. I will just tackle them to the ground. So.
Very good.
Yes. So I'm
Does
ready.
Does anybody authentically really actually do you wrong, though? I have seen you make gold out of straw so many times. I don't think anybody can actually do you wrong. Am I right about that?
Yeah, you're pretty right. I guess the only thing that not the only thing, but one of the things that's going on in medicine these days is medicine keeps being the heroic, the hero, trying to present doctors as being the heroes of your health. And they do that by not recognizing how to prevent disease and illness. They do that by waiting until your thyroid punks out, and then they swoop in, with the cavalry and give you your thyroid hormone replacement. Or as I'm reading right now, people always get to know what's on my mind. I'm reading a book by an amazing female heart transplant cardiologist, cardiovascular surgeon. And here she is, incredibly just devoting her whole life to being on call 24/7, riding in with the cavalry to save the lives of mostly women. She has a female practice who've had heart disease for many years, and their heart finally punks out, and they need to get a new heart. And wonderful as it is, I mean, I'm a recipient of surgery myself. One of my ears, I was completely deaf for 40 or 50 years, yeah, pretty much. I have hearing in my ear now because of surgery. Surgery is incredible. But somehow medicine has to be slapped around and woken up to realize that we do not have to wait for these several million people to lose the function of their heart and then we replace it. We can be giving everybody REMAG, and it does have to be REMAG. We pretty much established that. Other magnesiums really aren't powerful enough. So people have to be given REMAG early enough to protect their hearts. I mean, that's it. So where is heroic medicine? Where and when is it going to recognize just these simple preventative steps can save millions of lives and billions of dollars? That's my rant for this morning. I've got more, but that's my rant. What do you have to say, Ginny?
I think that, that's absolutely accurate and totally true. I mean, I don't know how to head anything off at the pass unless you get in front of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like playing catch-up. These poor surgeons, I mean, the lives they have to live in order to be there in the surgical suites to take care of us. But yeah, so that's what everybody has to recognize. What we all have to get behind is to get in front of the problem. And if you see your friends and family suffering, you really do have to inform them of what they really could be doing to help their health and not wait for the inevitable. Because anybody who looks at heart disease, for example, they know that once you're on your half dozen heart medications, then it's just sort of managing your condition until you die. There is no curing your condition. They never use those words. And even something as, quote, preventable as atrial fibrillation, which is an electrolyte disturbance, even something like that. We've had customers who've told us that their cardiologists have screamed at them that, atrial fibrillation is incurable. You can't possibly treat it with magnesium. So this is brainwashing everybody into thinking that heart disease is incurable. Right, Ginny?
Oh, yes, everybody does think heart disease is incurable, 100%. Yep,
Right.
they really do.
Right.
And they think it's the worst possible thing that could happen, and it certainly is not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And Ginny's been through it with so many of our customers, with her friends. I know stories about her friends, even met some of these friends who've been pulled into that whole scenario. Anyway, that's
yes, as a matter of fact, one of my dear friends who you met at my wedding is in the hospital right now with a heart condition.
Oh, dear. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Gail's husband, Jack, is in the hospital right now. Yep. So it happens all the time, and there's all kinds of different variables to it. But the main thing that we can say with 100% complete and total confidence is that if you're taking Remag, that is either slowing down that train or that train is stopping altogether in its tracks. I mean, we've just seen so many people's health improved, and not just the heart. But, I mean, the heart is the big one, right? But, I mean, and the brain and the gut, and circulation and from the top of your toes to the bottom of to the top of your head, it is 100%. Every single cell will take it up. Right.
And today we're starting at the neck with the thyroid. Ginny's blog at drcarolyndeanlive.com is titled Thyroid Balance, Magnesium and Minerals to the Rescue, and that is Remag and Remite to the rescue. We have this blog. We're doing this part of the radio show that'll go in the archives. We have 2 thyroid webinars. Boost Your Energy, Clear Your Brain is one, and Reset Your Hormones is another. I have the book, what's it called? Reset the Thyroid Connection, I think it's called. So we are approaching the thyroid and giving you the information on the thyroid from so many levels. You cannot say that that we're missing any information here, although there are a few things that have come up in the questions from our listeners that I'll get to. So we've got you covered. We're saying the words. We're answering the questions. We have the book. We have the webinars. And we want you to participate in that information. And I know customer service will get questions, and they'll say, well, what should I do? And we will be telling you, you have to read, you have to listen, you have to look. And we provide all that information. And when you get your intellectual brain engaged and realize what's happening and how you can, quote, simply reverse some of the symptoms and the conditions you have, then you'll be fully engaged. We are not going to just be like your doctors that pat you on the head and say, oh, okay, dear, I'll take care of you. We're way beyond that because we want you to be in your own power. We don't want any control of your life. So in this blog, Thyroid Balance, Ginny she cuts and pastes from our information, and she says most general practitioners are intimidated by the complexity of endocrine disorders involving the thyroid, adrenals, sex hormones, and refer their patients to endocrinologists. Now, what I've done, Ginny, I'm rewriting all 12 of my books to update them with our Pico Silver and our Whole C Reset, our Vitamin C, and our Flora Revive, our probiotic. And what I started to do in the hormone sections is put in insulin as well as one of the very important hormones that helps balance our blood sugar. So there's going to be a quartet of hormones instead of this triad. So the endocrinologists depend on inaccurate blood testing to prescribe synthetic hormone replacement drugs, which is their main form of treatment. There's no effort to find the underlying cause of endocrine problems or explore natural solutions. So here's a side comment on that. Doctors treat what they know. They can't treat what they don't know. And endocrinology is so tough that doctors actually avoid it. The only endocrine organ they can test for kind of relatively easily, although inaccurately, is the thyroid. So that's what they treat. The sex hormones are too difficult because to measure them is kind of impossible. They change day by day, week by week. You can get averages, but it's very difficult to diagnose sex hormone imbalance. And the adrenals are even more difficult to analyze. The allopathic medicine just thinks the adrenals are working perfectly fine or they're completely dead. The alternative doctors do try to take measurements, use saliva testing, testing every few hours throughout the day to try to figure out what's going on with the adrenals. What I do, because, being an online dietary supplement company, I'm not doing testing, and I basically just say that most of the people approaching us, unfortunately, have total body meltdown. All their hormones are compromised. There's no balance, so we just support everything. We just give the body building blocks for every organ, every part of the body at the cellular level, because all the cells need the same thing. And it starts with them wanting and needing magnesium. And then the rest of the minerals we provide with the Remite, the B vitamins, and a couple of amino acids with the Realign, et cetera, et cetera. So that's our philosophy, is to give the building blocks in the most absorbable forms as possible, natural forms of our stabilized ionic minerals and our methylated and food-based B vitamins. So it's really basic stuff that, from the insights I've developed over the decades I've been doing this, it just makes sense. So going back to the blog, even when alternative books on the subject are written, they end up taking a very similar path based on allopathic solutions. And that is hormone replacement, either synthetic with the allopathic doctors, or they'll use desiccated thyroid hormones like Armour Thyroid or Nature Thyroid for supporting the thyroid once it's punked out. In my book, Reset the Thyroid Connection, I do make mention of two popular books on the thyroid. We'll give you all the details about thyroid disease and explore alternatives, but they both still focus on thyroid replacement therapy. One book, Hashimoto's Thyroiditis by Isabella Wentz, who's a pharmacist, and The Thyroid Connection by Amy Myers. Amy Myers suffered from hyperthyroidism or Graves' disease. Dr. Wentz suffered from Hashimoto's thyroiditis and hypothyroidism. So the two books cover all aspects of thyroid disease, although not so much about nodules, and we'll get to that. So both authors discuss the need to find the root cause of thyroid disease, and they recommend a lot of different things. And what I wrote about in Reset the Thyroid Connection is how Dr. Wentz described her Hashimoto's and how she was sick for many years, and she goes on a litany of her symptoms, and finally her blood test showed Hashimoto's thyroiditis. But when you read her story, and I've documented this in my book, it reads like the two root causes of all illness that I describe, which is yeast overgrowth and magnesium deficiency. Isabella talks about having panic attacks and anxiety, which is magnesium deficiency. She does talk about having yeast infections, but doesn't talk about intestinal yeast overgrowth. So she and also Dr. Myers, actually, they describe how the body takes 5-10 years to develop a diagnosable condition, whereas if you're alert to yeast overgrowth and magnesium and other mineral deficiencies, you can, again, step in front of the problem and head it off. And it takes nothing more than kind of intellectually understanding that, taking the Remag and Remite, going on a yeast-free diet, and balancing out your body. The blog continues. Ginny says that Dr. Carolyn Dean is a world-renowned expert on magnesium and mineral supplementation, and Dr. Dean agrees that thyroid patients may suffer all these associated symptoms, but it's not necessarily because of thyroid disease itself. So as I said, the true root causes are mineral deficiency and yeast overgrowth, leading to a breakdown in the endocrine system, which always involves the thyroid. And this breakdown also includes the adrenals, sex hormones, immune system, heart, kidneys, liver, gut, and brain. So if you look at medicine as allopathic medicine does, as all these different specialties, then you get all the different influences of the specialties. You have a heart problem, you go to the cardiologist. Thyroid problem, you go to the endocrinologist. Kidney problem, you go to the renal specialist. I mean, it never quits, and nobody ever gets together and looks at the whole body as one cell that requires minerals and does not like yeast toxins. That's it. That's the basis of what we're talking about here. And then continuing on the blog, no matter what chronic disease you look at today, you'll come up with a long list of all the associated conditions. And yes, I focus on magnesium, mineral deficiency, and yeast overgrowth. To treat each condition individually, you end up with an array of diet, supplements, and advice that becomes overwhelming, confusing, and contradictory. One of the most difficult causes of hypothyroidism is the environmental pollutants blocking thyroid hormone receptors. Thyroid hormones may even appear normal in blood tests, but cannot get inside cells to do their work as a result of hormone receptor blocking. Such is the case with chronic acetaldehyde poisoning, which is a byproduct of yeast metabolism. Similarly, with the female hormones, especially estrogen, which is blocked from getting into cells, even though blood estrogen levels may be normal. So the point is, we're doing these serum blood tests and kind of drawing conclusions that, oh yeah, that level's fine. Okay, let's move on. And not realizing, well, if your cell receptors are blocked with environmental toxins and yeast toxins, then that hormone, which looks, nice and happy in the serum, is not going to get into the cells. So there. What's interesting is Ginny did this blog. She didn't realize I was starting to do a blog on thyroid, because just recently, medicine has come out with a study saying mild hypothyroidism is being overtreated. Avoid pills, says panel. So just as I said that the one thing they can test for is the thyroid, so that's what they're going to treat. Well, apparently medicine has caught up to the fact that they're overtreating the thyroid. So they go on and on about how all these studies show that treating the thyroid with, and it will be the synthetic thyroid, levothyroxine, etc., that it doesn't really help people if the doctors are using the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone test, to diagnose hypothyroid. In 62% of people with TSH levels 4 to 10, they experience normalization of thyroid levels within 5 years without any treatment. So they're going to be recommending that doctors cut back on on giving prescriptions of synthetic thyroid, Synthroid, or levothyroxine. So you may find that if you're already on a thyroid hormone, they may start cutting you back. Now, that's fine by me. They don't offer any other alternatives. No, just stop the drug. They don't care that maybe some people have been helped by that extra thyroid. But what we do is tell you to take the multiple mineral Remite, which has gotten a reputation for being a thyroid mineral because the thyroid requires 9 minerals in order to make thyroid hormone. And if you're lacking in one or more of these, then the thyroid hormone production is going to be reduced. And when you take these minerals, it enhances thyroid hormone production. It doesn't make too much. It doesn't make too little. The body has all that figured out. It'll take what it requires, move on to the next step, pull in another mineral that's required in the chain of events, and make your thyroid hormones. I guess I should say I knew that Remite with 12 minerals included. I knew when I was producing it that the 9 minerals were going to support the thyroid, but I had no idea how effective it was going to be until I started taking it myself in the preliminary testing stages. Within 6 or 8 weeks, I was able to get off my 60 milligrams of Armour Thyroid that I'd been taking for kind of subclinical thyroid problems, cold hands and feet. After 6, 8 weeks, my hands and feet were warmed up. I was kind of revved up a bit. So unlike what I tell customers to wean off, I just stopped it, and I haven't looked back, and that's been several years. And we've had similar feedback from people. We are not treating thyroid disease by any stretch of the imagination. We are just supporting the structure and function of your thyroid. If you have been prescribed thyroid hormone for a mineral deficiency, and you take your minerals and your thyroid improves, then you're just not going to need that drug anymore. So I'm going to stop now and ask Ginny if she has anything to add before I jump into the mailbag about the thyroid, and there's some excellent questions that have come in. Go ahead, Ginny.
Nope. Let's proceed with the questions. That's what we're here for. Wonderful, wonderful.
Perfect. Someone says, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's 6 years ago. Since then, I've tried so many different therapies without significant result. 9 months ago, I implemented something called the root cause protocol. It does not look like it is working very well for me. However, I'm convinced that the theory about mineral dysregulation is right. I came across Dr. Dean's blog, really like it. I see a lot of similarities with root cause, but also some differences that may be the missing links in my case. Now, I suppose I should say that the person who began this root cause protocol used to, or maybe still, calls me his mentor. He's not being a very good student, though, because he hasn't taken advantage of the fact that I have that I do have a protocol for a total body meltdown, basically because I use minerals that are stabilized ions and fully absorbed. Now, what this root cause protocol goes into, she says that this person is not a big supporter of synthetic supplementation, especially zinc and copper. Well, I mean, minerals aren't either synthetic or non-synthetic. They're just dirt minerals. They talk about copper toxicity not really existing. A lot of words here, which I have always found confusing and confuse the customers too. Like someone who's trying to show off their intelligence without making a whole lot of common sense. And I mean, we knew about copper and zinc and even iron toxicity decades and decades ago in the naturopathic community. So it's nothing new, and that's what I take into account when I work with the REMAG and REMITE. He's not recommending synthetic B vitamins, etc. Now, what you'll notice in this root cause protocol is the tone of the recommendations is all very negative. Instead of telling people what to do and offering what works right off the bat, the protocol is all about what not to do. And also the big, huge discrepancy is not looking at yeast overgrowth. And to me, that the yeast toxins, they block a lot of receptors, they cause a lot of toxicity and set people up. So she's asking my opinion and how it relates to the supplements I offer, and what do I think of iron toxicity, which apparently is an underlying negative that's brought up in the root cause protocol. Now, the thing about iron toxicity is that infectious organisms get hold of iron. So there's this cycle that happens where when a body has chronic disease, chronic low-grade infections, then iron will be hidden away from these infectious organisms, and then the person can appear anemic, and then they go to their doctor and they get put on iron. So there's this vicious cycle. But there's also a huge aspect of iron is that it needs transferrin. It needs to be bound with a protein in order to keep it from becoming toxic. And what's important about transferrin is its relationship to magnesium. So I don't want to go into the complexity of it because there's no need to. Basically, when you take your REMAG, you help support transferrin that will pick up the iron and keep it from being toxic. It's just like, not just like, but other analogies about people worrying about the side aspects. I'm not saying the minutia because sometimes it's huge for people, like histamine reactions, but magnesium, especially REMAG, is a huge antihistamine. So if you've got yourself saturated with REMAG, you really take care of so many of these so-called problems. And that's where I come back to all of these various protocols. They keep going, into broader and broader aspects of dozens of supplements that you have to take for all these symptoms because they never deal with the underlying magnesium deficiency and never saturate the body properly with enough REMAG so that all these other symptoms kind of solve themselves and you don't have to keep Band-Aiding symptoms. I mean, seriously, with our REMAG, REMITE, Realign, and also with Pico Silver. Pico Silver is going to help the immune system against these infectious organisms that are throwing your iron out of balance. So REMAG, REMITE, Realign, and Pico Silver are going to be the most important minerals and vitamins that you can take. We also look at Blue Ice Royal for the vitamin A, D, K2. We look at whole food vitamin C, which is very important. But those are the details that you'll learn about when you look at, say, the blog called Dr. Dean Supplement Recommendations. It's all laid out. The next question, can minerals help reduce thyroid nodules? Now, this is interesting. I didn't realize that I had not written anything about thyroid nodules in my Reset the Thyroid Connection book, and I'm going to fix that in this next edition. Thyroid nodules are interesting. They're mostly benign. In Chinese medicine, they're called cysts. A cyst is kind of an empty nodule. Some nodules in the thyroid that can be cysts, or they can be half cysts and half solid tissue, or they can be all solid tissue. Chinese medicine says they're an accumulation of phlegm or blood stagnation. That doesn't really mean much to people, but it is related to yeast overgrowth and mineralization. Total Biology, German New Medicine, says people with thyroid conditions are driven to, quote, get things done. There are people who have professions and activities that involve competition, or who are under deadline pressures or constant pressure to keep up, and more susceptible to experience conflict in their roles. And that's everybody. I mean, let's face it. So what happens with forming a nodule, and medicine will say this as well, that hypothyroidism often starts with hyperthyroidism, where the whole thyroid or an area of the thyroid will have a burst of extra activity and look hyper. The thyroid itself, the body tries to separate that area by enclosing it in a cyst to try to slow it down, and then it kind of dies out. So it used to be a hot nodule, now it's a cold nodule. And I mean, there's a lot more to it, of course, that I'll try to define better in the book. But there are reasons for these nodules forming, areas of bursts of activity so that we can accomplish more, and then they burn out. As I said, they're mostly benign, so not to worry about. But people are asking about nodules. How do you treat them? And it's basically by supporting the structure and function of the thyroid and trying to organize your life to have less stress and to just kind of roll back a little bit. Take the RNA reset drops. That will help a little bit of detachment. Next question, so glad you're doing the show today, trying to understand how to best treat reverse Hashimoto's, which my husband and I both have. Now, when both people in the family have it, you have to look at what's the water they're drinking, what's the food they're eating, are they both eating a lot of sugar, have they had antibiotics, so they have yeast overgrowth. Aside from starting your supplements, which we are, do we really have to do crazy diet changes and never have a carb gain? So right away, this person is setting herself up for defeat because she just, it's like saying, don't tell me to change my diet. Well, I didn't look at that line before I said, is there a lot of sugar going on? If a person is sugar addicted or gluten addicted, yes, they can be blocking receptors for the thyroid. And sugar anyway, that's my number 12 book that I'm writing right now. It's being proofread. It's called Death by Sugar. And you have to realize that at any one moment in the bloodstream, there's only 2 teaspoons of sugar. And when you look on labels, it's not going to tell you teaspoons, it's going to tell you grams. 4 grams equals a teaspoon. So if you're eating something with 40 grams of sugar, which is what's in a fruit juice or a soda pop, 40 grams, 10 teaspoons in sodas and juice, you're going to hit your body with so much sugar that it's going to go into shock, and then create the whole insulin resistance and pre-diabetic, diabetic scenario. So if you are doing that, then you're setting yourself up for a real problem, and you're the blah, blah, blah. So she continues, is it enough to have a goal of eating from scratch, organic, and adding in intermittent fasting? Well, no. What you do with the 2 of you having Hashimoto's, you read the book. You read Reset the Thyroid Connections, and you see where your triggers are, and then work on that. She says, I can deal with letting go of gluten if I need to, but never eating potatoes again. Would love your thoughts. Well, I'm not anti-potatoes. It's mainly the straight sugars that are problematic. And in terms of a keto diet and no carbs, that's when people want to lose weight, and when they have to kind of, I guess you would say, tough it out. But for me, keto is nothing because I can eat fats, heavy whipping cream, and a few berries, and that's my treat that tastes as sweet as any Snickers bar. Okay, next. Enjoy your show. Thrilled to hear the growth of your vegetable garden when you used leftover Remag mineral ingredients. Well, no, that wasn't it. It was the leftover what we call mash, the dried kind of straw from making our RNA reset drops from sprouted barley. And for that, just go to RNA Reset webinar to see the video of the garden where we created such alive radishes that the plot did not form weeds and was completely unaffected by worms and little predators. She says, my daughter was diagnosed almost 4 years ago with POTS, P-O-T-S, and has chronic fatigue and chronic cough, which gives her not only exhaustion but chest pains. What can we do? Well, POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome is defined by excessive heart rate. Magnesium deficiency can cause an underactive autonomic nervous system, leading to low blood pressure and poor circulatory system performance. Some people think magnesium will lower their blood pressure further, but slowly increasing magnesium will actually treat the underlying autonomic nervous system problem and improve the blood pressure. So basically, it's sneaking up the Remag, starting with 10 drops daily in sea salted water. And for this cough, I would definitely look at yeast overgrowth. So look at my Reset the Yeast Connection book and use Pico Silver. That's where you begin. Secondly, I've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, been on levothyroxine for 11 years. I eat healthy fruit and veg occasionally with chicken. What can I do? I don't know. I mean, occasional protein may not be enough, just the way I'm reading this. Too much fruit also can be problematic. People who are, kind of on the vegetarian side tend to think that since fruits, even if they're organic, since fruits are natural, they can eat a lot of them and they get themselves into yeast overgrowth problems just with fruit. I would look at the protein. You can start with our Restructure and see if adding that extra protein gives you a boost. And the Remite, along with the Remag, is going to support the thyroid, and you can see either by how you feel and or your blood tests to see if you'll wean from your levothyroxine. Someone else, I'm currently taking levothyroxine 88 micrograms, down from 100 micrograms. Want to know if I take your magnesium supplement, can I take it with the thyroid, or do I have to separate it from the thyroid, and by how much? You can take them together. I mean, taking Remag and Remite are like eating food. So if you're, quote, allowed to take your Levo with food, you can take it with Remag, Remite, but from what I've heard, they want you to take Levo separately. I would swallow. I think you could swallow it with your minerals very easily, but don't. If they tell you to separate your Levo from food, then separate it from Remag and Remite, and then as you improve, you'll be weaning off your Levo. My thyroid was nuclearly medicated at the age of 50. Yeah, they'll irradiate a hyperthyroid. I'm now 65. The time prior to medication given was due to the fact I was also in a thyroid storm. So she was hyperthyroid. Presently on Synthroid and Nature Thyroid, and monitored by a wonderful endocrinologist who's trying to supplement and place me on a greater level of feeling good. Started the RNA reset about a month ago and truly feel the difference with my muscle spasms and pain and my sleep. I'm so trusting of this regimen I'm so trusting that this regimen will restore my health on many levels. Is there anything I could do to support the journey? Well, it would be, if you're on the total body reset, then you're covered with it, everything, but read the book and reread the book, the Reset the Thyroid Connection, to listen to the webinars, listen to this show, just so you understand that we're treating the thyroid at the cellular level, supporting it with the thyroid hormones, and also looking at yeast overgrowth. The Realign is helpful in the whole process because it's a detoxifier. It helps detoxify the yeast toxins. I'm 61 years old, recently diagnosed with a type of thyroiditis. I already take Remag and Remite. I have fatigue. I feel my energy imbalance will never return. Now, what Lindsay is talking about is a certain type of thyroiditis that they say is self-limiting. So maybe one of these kind of hyperthyroid situations that will burn out. I guess basically it's a matter of how much she's taking. If, let me see here, recently diagnosed, so she still may be hyper, I would keep the Remite just to 1 teaspoon a day, build up the Remag to 2 or 3 teaspoons a day to support, and use the Realign, and probably restructure for the protein component to support the body as it's going through kind of a hypermetabolism, and to look at, what's happening in my life that I feel I have to speed myself up for. I've been taking Remag for about half a year now. My severe leg cramps were cured almost immediately. My regular heartbeat of 20 years was pretty much gone. Pressure pulses in my knees at night and occasional tightening through my upper back and neck are gone. The Remag has also helped a coworker and my wife with cramps. As far as my question is, for the past 10 years I've been on synthetic thyroid hormone to stop nodules, and in brackets goiter, from growing, and it has effectively stopped them from growing. Various family members had thyroid cancer, so they're super cautious with me. Fine needle biopsy showed no cancer. I would love to not have to take synthetic thyroid. I'm a male, 61 years old. Yeah, what can happen with the conflict in thyroid? It can trigger people, and you think it's genetic, but it's just that could be in a type A personality family setting. Personally, I would go to our total biology expert, Dr. David Holt, at turnpointhealth.com and say, what could I be doing that could have been pushing these nodules? And using the Remag and Remite can support your thyroid to normalize, and as you're working on the conflict, then you can decide whether or not you just wean off, with your doctor's supervision, wean off the medication. Because at this point it's probably psychological, taking the medication, but you have to be aware of the psychology that could have been driving your thyroid. My question is, are you able to shrink a thyroid nodule? And she is in brackets toxic. If not, should it be removed can't tell you that. That's very much a medical question. We do know that the hot thyroid nodules will burn themselves out. Dr. Amy Myers, in her book, talks about Graves' disease and hyperthyroidism. Actually, in Reset the Thyroid Connection, I do have a section on hyperthyroidism that may assist you in how to support hyperthyroidism if it's gone to that extent with your thyroid. I know we only have a few minutes left. Hopefully I can get through the rest of these, Jenny. Another one with thyroid nodule on the right side of her neck, visible to others, biopsied, benign. What causes these and how can I get rid of them not surgically? That's another conflict, especially on the right side, the way the thyroid is. There's certain conflicts on the right, there's certain conflicts on the left. Actually, I came across something about that on the Internet because I don't have my total biology notes with me on this computer, but just Google German New Medicine and thyroid and see if you come up with the same articles. Taking 2 teaspoons Remag, Realign. She's unable to take Remite, and it's because of some, rare sensitivity to potassium. So I don't know what to say about that. I'm sorry about not being able to take the Remite, but I think what I would say is to spray it on the skin and see how how you fare with that. I eat very little sugar, little gluten, yet the nodule won't go away. So, yeah, that is a total biology question to remedy with Dr. David Holt at turnpointhealth.com. Someone who's a nurse 25 years ago left her profession with depression and burnout after the death of her father, who was a doctor. Was diagnosed with hypothyroidism at the time on a small dose of Synthroid. Since then, developed osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, and rheumatoid arthritis. Also have low hemoglobin and low iron. I wondered if you would comment on this. Using magnesium, noticed that it helped leg cramps and pain. She's on a biologic, new types of drugs that are out there, happily doing her energy work and officiating at weddings. So she's in a good frame of mind. It would be the total body reset. If your magnesium is not Remag, then I would get on that. I would do the Remite and definitely do the yeast detox, because that's related to the inflammation. And the rheumatoid arthritis. The Pico Silver is going to really help rheumatoid arthritis, which it's so inflammatory that a lot of people really think it is related to some sort of infectious condition. Last one, diagnosed with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, 2011. Long drawn-out story, she says. She's 65 years old. Lost 45 pounds doing whole foods diet, takes Remag and minerals. Hopefully it's the Remite. Feels they have helped me to become more balanced, improved a lot. Still have lower than normal energy, gets overwhelmed. Thyroid question, taking Nature Thyroid, pig thyroid every morning. Since I have low energy, my doctor wants me to take another thyroid glandular. It might help boost the energy, but I'm hesitant because of the Hashimoto's. So the Remite, if you're not taking 3 teaspoons of Remag, increase that. Take the Remite, maybe even up to 2 teaspoons. Take Realign to help detoxify. And the RNA reset drops are going to help as well to kind of build up more perfect new cells, since you've been supplementing with glandulars, that it kind of takes over the thyroid tissue a little more than we want it to. So you want to produce your own normal thyroid tissue with the right building blocks. So there, Ginny, I did it.
Okay, very good, Carolyn. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you to everybody who writes into the show. And, of course, we know you're looking for very good health information, and Dr. Dean provides it every week. We're going to be taking the calls next hour at 602-666-6027. We have a lot of phone callers this evening. If you're on the phone to talk to Carolyn, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad. *5 will raise your hand in the studio and let me know you have a question or comment. Otherwise, your phone will remain on mute, and I won't be able to. You won't be able to get a hold of Dr. Dean. So, *5 on your keypad. We also have tons of questions on the public chat line, including those from. Let's see, we've got Francis and Genevieve and Vlad and all kinds of people
Ginny,
on here. Peter.
Ginny, what you're going to do is, should tell people is you're going to scan them. And if I've already answered their question, we're going to move on to unanswered questions, the same with the phone calls. If you feel your question's been answered and you just need to do more reading and viewing on your own, then we'll push on to questions that haven't been answered. Okay?
Okay, excellent. We'll be right back after the break, and we'll get into more questions and our phone calls in the next hour.
Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with host Ginny Gunther, after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
.com. Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Hour 2, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on achieveradio.com. Again, we've got some questions on the chat line, and we've got callers with their hands raised high, so we're going to get pressing on to the second hour in the show. Welcome back, Dr. Dean. The first question is from Francis, who types in, Dear Dr. Dean, I'm on 275 milligrams of magnesium. I have hypothyroidism, adrenal fatigue. I take 2.5 milligrams of DHEA and Thyroid, and after a few weeks on the magnesium, my heart rate is going up. And if I take the DHEA, my heart goes through the roof. I also have gained weight, and I've become bloated. The magnesium by itself causes weight loss, but I can't seem to take it with my hormones. Normally, DHEA makes me lose weight. It has also affected the Thyroid. I become hyper. I've been taking this DHEA for 25 years. It's never made me gain weight, but since my heart is so affected, I can't take my Thyroid or my DHEA. What should I do?
Is 275 milligrams. Is that Remag? That's not our usual dose. Our doses are a teaspoon is 300. What's the name of? I'm sorry. What's the name of the
Francis.
cat? Oh yeah, Francis. Francis, are you on Remag? Next question.
Okay, very good. We'll come back to Francis when we get an answer from Francis. Then yes, wonderful. Gary typed in and said, I know Dr. Dean takes 15 drops of the RNA drops a day, but is it okay to just take 5 twice a day? They're expensive, but I love them.
Oh, yeah, Gary. Yeah, any amount you can take on a regular basis is going to be helpful. You know, I'm just very fortunate that I'm able to take as much as I want, and we won't even talk about how much Bob takes. He takes a sinful amount. So any amount is going to help.
Very good. Excellent. Genevieve types in, speaking of heart issues, that was in the first hour, can a small aneurysm in the ascending aorta heal on its own with proper mineralization? I've had 2 CT scans, quote unquote, yuck, and it isn't progressing at this time.
If the aneurysm is being caused by calcification, I can see how that can happen. But dissecting aortic aneurysm is definitely something you have to follow very carefully. It's a medical emergency, so I'm not going to pretend like taking a bit of Remag is going to cure it. But Remag will help any sort of calcification situation by solubilizing the calcium in the soft tissue of the body where the calcium should not be.
Very good, very good. And also I think that kind of a health condition you have, any kind of imbalance stresses out your body. And by using Remag and supporting the body at a cellular level, every single cell, you are going to help to alleviate that stress. And just the stress of some health conditions worry people, right, Carolyn, to the point that, it's just a very calming agent for your body. It's very healthy for your cells. And if you have any disadvantage at all, then you want to give your body every advantage you possibly can. And Remag is the most advantageous thing you can do for your body.
Exactly. Perfect.
Okay, very good. Vlad types in Prescript Biotics Probiotic Blend, the new formula. Do you still recommend it to fight fungal overgrowth?
I have no problem with the new formula. But it was all the kerfuffle around Prescript Assist that motivated me to finally finish up our Flora Revive formula that you'll see in our on our website in the next couple of months. I personally have not taken the new Prescript formula, so I don't know anything about it. Ginny, have we had feedback on it?
No, not yet. Nope. If anybody's on the chat line and is using it and wants to type in, then, yeah, absolutely. Let us know how you're experiencing it.
Right.
Francis typed back from our good friend Francis with the DHEA, typed in and said, no, she's not taking Remag, just 275 milligrams of magnesium citrate.
Right. So, I don't know why you're having the reaction to that magnesium along with your DHEA and Synthroid. I wouldn't know that. If you were taking Remag, what I would say is with the experience you've had with the magnesium citrate is to take it a lot slower. Start with Remag at 10 drops in sea salted water. And what happens with DHEA, I know when you use our Remag lotion transdermally, it stimulates DHEA receptors in the skin. So I don't know if by taking any sort of magnesium, you're not going to require as much DHEA in terms of your heart rate going up and all. I can't can't define it any more than that.
And in customer service. Yeah, well, in customer service, when anybody emails in and talks about a different product they're taking, we always have to direct them to the company that's manufacturing the product, because we don't know what other the fillers, what are the other things in the formula. We have no idea of speculating. Magnesium citrate in a powder form or whatever. It's best to just talk directly with the manufacturer of that product about whatever it is that you're experiencing, because it's not necessarily just a magnesium issue, obviously, since magnesium is so beneficial.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then also Nancy typed in, our good friend Nancy, she typed in, "Hi, I made it here again, but a little late today. I enjoyed the pre-program email, Ginny, today. It describes basically where I was in life until I met a nutritional healing program in 2009 and later came to Dr. Dean. I've been using the complement formulas for a few years as well. All has been keeping me headed in the right direction. I had symptoms described in today's email, and I'm assuming that Nancy's saying, but not anymore. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy, for typing in. Yeah, it's great when a lot of people go on their health journey. They definitely end up, intersecting with us and what we're doing, and it's just always great to have the support on your journey, too, and that's another reason why I think Carolyn's so amazing to talk with everybody on Monday night. It's just like, yes, there are people out there who actually care about how you feel, and sometimes when your family's been in it with you for a while, or if you do live on your own and you don't really have anybody to share with, you just don't feel like you're that supported. So I'm glad you're doing well as usual, and I know that you're getting the support that you need. Carolyn, Peter typed in, this will be our last chat line, and then we'll go to our phones, so thank you for hanging in there. Last chat for a minute. I haven't forgotten everybody. Peter typed in, "Hi, Dr. Dean, started taking Remeg 3 weeks ago for mild AFib and autoimmune Hashimoto's. Can't seem to get past half a teaspoon and 2 liters of water a day without feeling sluggish, as if the edge has been taking off my ability to think quickly at work. Is this typical? Is there any way to avoid this tiredness as I ramp up Remeg and eventually add Remite?"
It can be the body wanting to slow you down so it can do some internal work. I guess what common sense would tell me is to take more of your dosing in the evening and before bed, and make the sluggishness work for you. Because if you've got heart things going on and thyroid things going on, you've got some stuff to work on. So think about it in that way, taking it after work and into the evening, because the Remeg especially is supposed to be supporting the energy in the body. But if that energy is going toward healing, we'd rather it do that than push yourself. You shouldn't push yourself through this. You should take note that your body wants to slow down a bit.
Okay, wonderful, excellent. Okay, so Francis typed back in. We're going to go to our phones. Francis typed back in, "Can't take magnesium chloride. It makes me itch. I've tried every type of magnesium, same thing." Again, Francis, just go back to the manufacturer of the product you're using and describe your symptoms and see what else they have to offer you, because we can't support a product that we don't manufacture. That's also against FDA rules. Let's go to area code 585 in New York. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, I didn't hear the rest. This is Deborah. Can you hear me?
Hey, Deborah. Yeah.
Hi, I'm here with my mom, Andrea. She's got a question as well. So my question is, I had the hyperthyroid post-baby. It's been 11 years. I'm on the methimazole. To make a long story short, since I've been back on the methimazole, there's no Graves antibodies, but now there's there's antibodies now for the Hashimoto. So what might the protocol be for this? I have heart palpitations. I have major anxiety. butt problems. I'm actually supposed to have an endoscopy on Friday. I'm sure I have yeast overgrowth.
Right.
I
Yes,
had antibiotics last year.
and antibiotics last year. Right. I guess, with that much focus on your thyroid, Deborah, I'm wondering if, what do you think about talking to Dr. David Holt about what conflict that you're supporting that will be pushing your thyroid so much? First hyper, and now it's going hypo, and it probably bounces between the two.
Yeah, my TSH is like 0.99. And, I'm only taking 5 milligrams of methimazole, so it's not really moving my TSH. There's just some low, like in the 80s and 90s as far as the thyroglobulin and anti-TPO.
All right. How much Remag are you taking?
I actually told my mom about it. She started it, and I never started it. So she's here with me now. I'm going to start it all now, though.
Yes, because, most certainly if you've got heart palpitations and anxiety, that implies magnesium deficiency. And I suppose, an endocrinologist will think with your history of hyperthyroid and Graves that it's just the thyroid causing heart palpitations and anxiety. But, yes, definitely, you have to get on those. And maybe, low dose of Remite to support the thyroid because it's been, beaten up so much. And by low dose, I mean maybe just half a teaspoon a day while you work up on your Remag to 2 and 3 teaspoons a day. That's what I would do.
Okay, so how much should I start out on the Remag?
Well, you'll see in all our literature, we say start out with a quarter teaspoon in a liter of sea salted water and sip it through the day to get your body used to having a high-level magnesium getting right into your cells.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Here's Andrea.
Well,
Okay.
Hi, Doctor.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi. Yes, I did start this about, my goodness, maybe 2 months ago, yeah. So I have the Hashimoto, or I was actually diagnosed with that, it might have been 10 years ago. But it's such a low, it wasn't even showing up, tell you the truth. I made them, they were livid. They didn't even want to see me again, the doctor, because I made them do the antibody test, because I was like, no, you have to, I want to know, because I had a little girl that had it, and my youngest daughter, and it was unusual for them to be, they were like, they wouldn't even give her the test. Finally, I made them, and they found out she had it, but she had to take, they started giving her levothyroxine, yeah. So anyway, I never had to, because mine wasn't high enough, but since I still had what they were calling Hashimoto antibodies, I just decided that, I just decided to start trying to diet, do different diet, getting rid of gluten, getting rid of dairy, getting rid of sugar type stuff.
Right,
it was actually very, very great. But the thing is, so anyways, I went back to eating some gluten and all that, and yeah, I have it again. Well, anyway,
right.
I'm doing the Remag. So no, I'm doing the Remite and the salt water and the Recalcia. No, I stopped doing the Remag, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know, and this is my question. I ended up having really low blood pressure, like so low that I thought, oh my gosh, this is, I just felt like I was going to faint. So I wasn't sure if I was doing the Remag wrong.
Right. Well, did you start it like the quarter teaspoon in a liter of water and sip it?
Yes, and I'm looking at your the paperwork right now. Yes, I did. And then I moved up to I think I did a half a teaspoon. I moved up to a half a teaspoon. It was actually a week or two later. And then and I do Remite. I do the Remite, and I do Recalcia in the salt water.
Well, with the dizziness, is it? Do you take your blood pressure with the blood pressure cuff, or do you just get dizzy?
No, it's not dizzy. It feels like there's like weights on my head. It's just a real like pressure feeling, like I'm going to pass out. But yeah, a cough. I took it with a cough.
And what is the value? What are the levels?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was like 80 over like 56 or something.
Do you drink, like we say in the paperwork, do you drink half your body weight in pounds in ounces of water a day?
Yes.
No, you drink more.
And
well, I used to drink more. Now I don't. I used to drink a gallon of water a day, but now I'm just drinking. Mm-hmm.
Right. And do you put sea salt in the water? Because the whole thing about blood pressure has to do with sodium and the adrenal glands.
So I do put the sea salt in the water. In one of the quarts, not in both quarts, because I'm so thirsty. I think I have sugar as well. I should say that. I don't have a doctor because I don't. Mm-hmm. I just don't have insurance, so I don't know if I have sugar, but I have symptoms of sugar, so I get so thirsty.
Right, yeah, because, the drinking water without the salt in all of it can actually pull minerals out and pull out your sodium. But, yeah, if you have too much sugar in the blood, it will make you feel dehydrated even though you're drinking a lot. So you should really get that sorted out because it's more the fluid in your body that could be and the lack of sodium that could be causing the problem. And then when you take the Remag, it kind of intensifies the sodium imbalance. And I'm being a bit too medical here, but
I understand. Yeah,
get it.
Well, and I am doing a reverse diabetes diet now, which helps a lot. I have hot flashes when I'm having too much sugar, so I absolutely can feel it in my body really quick. So and when I don't do too much sugar, I won't have the hot flash. So I guess if I stay on that for a couple of weeks, usually that's good, and I wind up losing weight like really fast too, and then I just then I'll start my Remag again. But I am doing the Remag now. Okay, and I'm doing another kind of magnesium right now. So I'm going to go back to the Remag after I get this under control then.
Right. Yeah, I'm just reinforcing what you already know and just just giving you a little heads up that you got to get rid of this sugar. If you heard me earlier, Andrea, I said if a person is taking more than 2 teaspoons of sugar at any one time, they're going to throw off their blood sugar and start getting into insulin resistance and prediabetes and diabetes, and you just don't want to be there.
I heard you, and I think that I've already done that. So what I do, I think I already have that. What I do want to ask you is, as far as sugar, you're not talking about complex carbs or are you talking about all sugar, like, I know.
No, it's mainly fruit and desserts and added sugars, fruit juice, sodas. But if it's complex carbs, if vegetables, and like I said, watch out for even fruit. That's hard because you know yourself. If you eat one little bit of a sweet thing, you just can't stop.
Yeah. You're right, and I don't do fruit. You're right. I don't do fruit because of that, too.
Right,
so,
right.
Okay, so this is definitely within reach for me, and I do appreciate this so much because, wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And no, I didn't know that. I do appreciate that suggestion.
Thank you, Andrea. And you shake your little daughter there and tell her to get on her minerals, for Pete's sake.
Yep. I did today. I told her today, and I'm the one who told her we have to listen to this today.
And I'm the one that told her to buy it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, right. Okay.
She tells me what to do, and I do it. And that's all. That's how it's always done.
Oh, funny. Okay, girls. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, very, very sweet, very sweet.
Let's have a yay for the tag team match.
Let's have a yay for the mother-daughter. Okay. Yes, and it's so sweet too, because that's so the way it goes. You know, people make product recommendations. They tell people to take Remeg. They don't take enough, or they take theirs, and you know, on and on and on. But it's typical. But we want everybody to take Remeg consistently, day in and day out, because it's the best thing you can do for your body. Okay.
Right, and let me just dive in here where, you know, Frances was saying she can't take any magnesium chloride. And you said, well, you know, people aren't allergic to magnesium. And the way Remeg is made, it is from magnesium chloride, but it is a stabilized ion of the the elemental magnesium. And I'm just wondering if Frances would be able to use our Remag cream and external transdermally. That's something to experiment with if she's got that sensitivity. Okay, Frances, try that.
Very good. Very good. All right, let's continue on our phone calls today, and we're going to go out to, oh dear, I just lost my thingy. Here we go. We're going to go out to the great state of Illinois, area code 312. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Linda.
Go ahead, Linda.
Hi. I've been told it's mild hyper. And the endocrinologist wants 5 milligrams of, well, I forgot the name of it. Anyway, I decided to go with a functional MD. And he is advising to take low-dose naltrexone. And I've done research, and there are holistic endocrinologists that are also using the low-dose naltrexone. I was just wondering how you felt about that. That is, you know, the small dose, 2.5 milligrams.
Right, yes. Back in the day when I was doing the AIDS and chronic fatigue studies in New York, there was a lot... there were a lot of people talking about the naltrexone low dose. It is, let me just describe it for people.
Well,
it
was
used
originally, right,
an opioid-dependent person would take it for antidoting.
50 milligrams.
Right.
This is
I don't know
dose.
I don't know what to say about it, Linda. I know even back then when I heard about it in my practice in Toronto and some people were trying it, I didn't notice a big improvement with it. I guess there's some doctors who use it a lot, and maybe they can give you feedback. This doctor that you're seeing, just ask, you know, well, what's the percentage of people who respond to it? And I wouldn't know what to say about it at this point. I don't know how it's being used or why. I don't know why it's being used in hyperthyroid. If you have mild hyperthyroid, I would look at why your body is trying to speed up. What are you trying to speed up in your life about that you require your thyroid to be beat up a little bit?
Right. Well, the nodules are hot, but I wanted to avoid that typical drug that they always give.
Yeah.
The low dose, 5 milligrams. Then they start you, and I wanted to try other things. I've taken the Remeg before, but I'm taking another type of magnesium, but when I finish that, I'm going to go back to the Remeg. But
because
anyway,
with if it's mild, Linda, what I'm thinking is the Remite. I would personally look at Remite as well. I mean, you could do it along with the naltrexone. It doesn't really matter, but What if your thyroid is being pushed to make more hormone, but you don't have enough of the building blocks, and that's just throwing things out of whack? And if you give yourself the hormone building blocks with the Remite, then it might just balance things out rather than it being sort of off kilter. That's my thinking.
Right. Well, the reason they call it mild is because all the numbers are fine except for the THS, which is 0.08. And then the nodules were hot. You know, I've done all the tests, even the nuclear, the biopsy, the ultrasound, everything. I just wanted to stay off the drugs.
Yeah, now this is interesting. I think I don't know if you were on at the beginning of the show, Linda, but I talked about how thyroid is the only thing that they have blood tests for in the whole endocrine system, you know, in terms of thyroid, adrenals, and sex hormones. So they've gone all crazy on treating thyroid. And I have been hearing from customers recently that a lot of people saying, oh, my TSH is too low. So, you know, my doctor wants this, that, and the next thing. And I'm wondering if their testing has gotten to the point where it's just too sensitive and they're using the old values with this new test, because if you have no symptoms of hyperthyroid, my gosh, why would you take a drug? And I can see why you would want to try some alternative.
Yeah, I'm going to have everything retested when I finish the first month of the LDN. So we'll see, and I'll try some minerals, some Remite.
Right. Now, the first month of what? Are you saying, the LDN, low-dose naltrexone,
yeah,
right?
LDN.
Okay, good. Right. Yeah. I mean, you're doing an experiment. Just, you know, be happy that you're able to experiment with this, but just do it a little bit detached and realize that, you know, maybe they're just overdiagnosing. I'm going to have to look into this because I don't know if customer service has noticed this. Ginny, have you noticed people talking about this? Their TSH is lower. I've seen it several times.
Yes, I agree, Carolyn. Yes, that's coming up more and more frequently. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been watching it go down from 0.12 to 0.08, and also you have to have the LDN done at a compound pharmacy. And when I spoke to the compound pharmacist, I was told that there are a lot of people taking the LDN. And there's a well-known holistic endocrinologist in New York that treats patients with it too for thyroid.
Right.
So,
well, the thing of it is, Linda, it is an experiment. It is medical. It is to, I guess, suppress something or other. But what we're trying to do with our Remag and Remite is give the body the building blocks so it can sort itself out. And, you know, I've seen this, too, with the people who've talked about the low TSH. It's like they're getting their blood tested every couple of months. And, you know, how much is your brain affecting the values? How much is your brain pushing your thyroid one way or another? It's like, oh, I don't want it to be lower, I don't want it to be lower, I don't want it to be lower, and then it's lower because you're focusing on lower. You know,
like, I'm so afraid it's going to be lower this month. Incidentally, one of the main researchers for LDN has been taking it for 10 years, and his wife takes it prophylactically to build the immune system and build the endorphins to prevent cancer. So there are people taking LDN to build up their immune system and to build endorphins.
And again, it's a medical thing. It's pushing the body in a way that it may not be necessary. I mean, this is why the reasons we use our minerals is to support the immune system. So I just wouldn't go to a drug. if I didn't have to. But, you're doing the experiment, you're with a practitioner, you sit across from them, so work with them. I'm not your doctor, but I'm just going to say what I prefer.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thanks for your call. It helps sort out this lower and lower TSH. I'm really interested in this now, how everything's coming together. Even when the medical establishment gets together and says they're giving out too many thyroid drugs and all this, then there's something going on in the whole thyroid community, and don't get too sucked into it.
Well, what's strange is everything else is normal. T3, T4, antibiotics, it's just the TSH.
Yeah. So, maybe try a different lab or, go to a different state and get another lab test.
True. That's very true. Okay.
So, it's like you're not treating your body, you're treating a blood test. How real is that?
That's very interesting. I like that. Okay.
Okay, Linda.
Treating
thanks
a blood
a lot.
test. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, wonderful. Gosh, that was a great call. Let's do another yay just for our wonderful new friend.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Always,
you're welcome, Linda.
Yeah, so great when our customers partner up with us and share such great information. Okay, up to the great state of Michigan, area code 906. 906, you're on the line with Dr. Dean this evening.
Hello there. I just wanted to comment on this low TSH issue. I'm seeing this with many of my clients, including myself, and one of my wonderful PhD biochemistry teachers, Dr. Harry Eidner, who has taught many of the functional medicine doctors like David Brownstein how to read thyroid labs in a different way. I called him after seeing so many of these patterns where TSH was suppressed, but the free T3 and free T4 were not even in the middle of the range, so clearly they were not elevated. And his comment to me was, you can have a suppressed TSH from elevated cortisol hormones. It will suppress the pituitary and cause the TSH to be suppressed. So that means people with stress in their life can have a suppressed TSH. That is so many of the people I see in my office. And another situation that he told me, he said also the taking of an antihistamine will suppress TSH. So, we look at these things, and it seems like the TSH, by all the doctors and endocrinologists I know of through my clients and through my family members, because we have a family history of Hashimoto's in our family, myself, my children, my mother, it's all through the family. And I see again and again that the TSH is worshipped as though it is this conclusive test, and it can be affected by so many things. It is not a conclusive test. And so, if the doctor looks at that TSH, for instance, my TSH is always less than 0.02, but Dr. Mark Starr spoke in his book, Hypothyroidism Type 2, that it is so common to see a TSH low when the dosage of medication is at 2 grains or more, 130 milligrams of a desiccated thyroid or higher. Expect to see it low. Does that mean they're hyper? Well, where's the body temp? How do the hands and feet feel? What symptoms does the patient have? You cannot just treat the TSH, or you miss helping so many people. So, when doctors lower the dose of a med based solely on the TSH, because they think they're giving too much med, but if they looked at the free T3 and free T4 and see that they're not even in the middle of the range, that is a really ridiculous thing to do. And I know doctors are taught that the TSH is this very conclusive test in medical school. It has so many reasons for being suppressed, and you cannot ever just treat the TSH and be fully helping the patient. You know, this is just not practicing good medicine. I know it's what doctors are taught, but I try to keep sharing the information from the functional medicine MDs and the docs who are more pioneers in the field. And, you know, they are saying again and again, do not treat the labs, listen to the patient, feel the hands and feet, take the basal body temp, ask the questions about what they're feeling. Because, you know, we're not going to help these people who need help if we just look at the TSH and say, oh, gee, it's so low. You know,
well, you know, I think years ago, do you remember some studies where they said people with low TSH and, you know, taking Levo, they could be getting osteoporosis from the drug-induced hyperthyroidism, and I think that scared a lot of people and made them want to keep the TSH, you know, high normal. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do, and I hear this coming back to me from my clients, that their doctor's comments are, oh my, if I don't lower your dose and you're below the normal range of TSH, you could develop arrhythmias or you could develop osteoporosis. I hear this back from them, but what really is so difficult to understand is when they don't bother to look at the free T3 and free T4 and see, well, for goodness sakes, this person can't be hyper. They don't even have a mid-range level of free T3 and free T4. So they're not understanding what they're looking at. You know, that TSH can be solely affected by a T4 level, and if they're not converting into T3, they're still going to have hypothyroid symptoms. Or it can be a stress factor, like the woman I had who was taking care of a husband in hospice care, or someone who had extreme stress with work. Okay, I see a TSH suppressed. Does that mean they're hyper? Absolutely not, unless they have symptoms of that. Not when the T3 and T4 are low. So, you know, it's like there's no thinking going on. And I want to say one other thing about the antibodies being elevated. When I was first diagnosed with Hashimoto's at 45 years old, my antibodies were over 1,000. And I was told by I would call her a functional medicine doc, clean up your diet, get off the gluten, dairy, get on some iodine very slowly. And what I found after doing that, my antibodies came down to about 400 and plateaued. And I thought, gee, why can't I get them down to normal? And I heard Dr. Aristo Vojani give a lecture, and he's a bioimmunologist.
I know.
Okay. So when he spoke in this lecture, and he said, you better check people for sensitivities with corn and rice because they can cross-react and cause a problem even though they're not gluten grains. So right away I started testing my autoimmune people, and lo and behold, all my autoimmune people had an issue with rice, except for the black rice that's coming from out of the country, and yellow corn. And when I stopped rice, that's when my antibodies came down into normal range. So from 400, they came down into normal. So yes, rice was an issue for me, and I see it's an issue for most of my autoimmune people. So, you know, antibodies can come down. It's not true that they're high and they're always going to stay high, which is what I was told at the beginning. That's not true. You can bring them down, and yes, stress has, you know, something to do with it. But I wanted to know from you, Dr. Dean, about, do you see that when I have been on Remake for about 2 months now, when the tissues are saturated with minerals, including magnesium and the other trace minerals in Remite, do you see patients being able to reduce their dose of medication?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes,
so that's wonderful. I look forward to that.
Yes, it's all these mineral deficiencies that we've learned about, you know, forever in the natural health community. It's all true what is said, but until the chemist that I found to work with was able to make these stabilized ionic minerals, we've never been able to get enough. That's all.
Okay.
That's all that I'm doing here, is creating a mineral that the cells will accept without any dancing around. These minerals are stabilized ions. They don't have to be chelated. They don't need a healthy gut in order to absorb. They're absorbed high up in the GI tract. They don't even get into the intestines for the most part, unless someone has. Anyway, there's always exceptions to the rule. But when you get even a few milligrams of Remag in your cells, it starts activating 1,000 different enzyme systems. We know that now, and 80% of the metabolic functions in the body. And that means everything to the body. And then the Remite minerals, they've proven themselves because they support all the organ functions. And our Pico Silver for the immune system, I mean, we're finding this stabilized ion is able to support tissue regeneration. It works on this at the level of the stem cells. It's doing incredible things. Everything they said about minerals is true. It's just no one's been able to get the right form of minerals until right now.
Yes, well, that's very hopeful for all the people who seem to need such a high dose of med, and they may be able to, gradually reduce as they saturate tissues with these minerals.
Exactly.
That's really exciting, and I thank you so much for your work.
Yes, thank you. And we never tell people to get off their meds. It's not one or the other.
Right.
These can be used, with anybody on anything. And then, just as you said, as they improve, if their health condition, of which there are 65 medical health conditions that can be mistaken magnesium deficiency conditions. So if you've got a magnesium deficiency condition, you've been treated with a drug, you're going to get worse. You're not going to get better. You're going to, anyway. And then as you saturate it with the magnesium and the minerals, then the symptoms are going to start to clear. Your asthma clears, your blood pressure clears, your heart palpitations clears, muscle cramps, all kinds of inflammation, pains and aches and all. Even with the Pico Silver, the first amazing testimonials started coming in that, oh my gosh, my double rotator cuff horrible pain is gone. So what did I think there? I thought, oh my gosh, in Chinese medicine I learned that when there are subclinical infections internally, the divergent acupuncture meridians direct the organisms out to the periphery to save the organs. So that's where they end up in the joints, and you have arthritis, even rheumatoid arthritis, probably. So when
Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I've been ranting. I appreciate being able to discuss this with you.
I was just going to say, it would stand to reason if you step up the efficiency of the body, and magnesium is so critically involved in converting T4 to T3, that if you saturate the tissues with optimal levels of minerals, then of course you won't have as great a need for supplemental T4, T3, So that's exciting, that's really exciting. And thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your work, and you're educating all of us and all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. And I didn't get your first name.
Oh, it's Valerie Olson. I forgot to state my name. Sorry.
Valerie. Oh, thank you so much, Valerie. It's good to hear from you.
You're
Please
welcome.
keep in touch.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yay. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Another yay, I suppose. Goodness gracious. The yays are just going out the door tonight. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Very, very great
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Great
I mean, isn't that awesome? She did the research. I've heard of, I think, Dr. Eisner and his Eigner. E-I-D-E. I don't even know how to spell it, but I've heard of that doctor. So she's confirmed with her clients and patients that people are being overdiagnosed with low TSH. And, through customer service, we get people say, oh, I'm really scared. My doctor says this is a real problem. And, and they don't have any symptoms to start with, but then they start getting stress symptoms and start saying they're anxious because of, post-traumatic doctor syndrome, for Pete's sakes.
Post-traumatic doctor syndrome. That's great.
Well, and the other thing is and I love Valerie's comments, but, Carolyn, you've always been the one to point out that it is for the reason of these very complexities that it's just best to give the body the mineral, the building blocks, because you do need those 9 minerals to make the thyroid hormone, that if all those minerals are in the body in their biologically appropriate ratios, the body will take care of itself. And it's this whole out of balance issue with the T4 and the T this and all this other business. But really, how many people have gotten off of their stuff, as we know, and, lost weight, feel better, brain fog gone, energy up, the whole shooting match, just because we provide the building blocks to the body. And we don't think the thoughts that move our arm. So, how could we possibly think the thoughts that balance our hormone, or how's a doctor supposed to know that? We just have to rely on the program that you've put together, which I think is brilliant,
Thank you. And it, also what Valerie said about the getting off gluten and dairy, and also corn and rice. And I meant to ask, but I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that corn and rice are GMO'd these days. People aren't eating real food. But she said she checked for sensitivities to corn and rice, so it might be true allergies. I know corn is hugely allergenic, and people don't realize it. I mean, I know people who'll eat popcorn and just go off the deep end. They'll get really irrational and depressed, crying. They're in a movie eating the popcorn and crying at the commercials, for Pete's sakes. So yeah.
Oh wow.
We haven't really focused a lot over the years on food allergies, and the reason is because when we do the yeast diet, the main diets I talk about are yeast and intermittent fasting keto diet. And the yeast diet, you're avoiding the glutens, and not a lot of people will turn over into eating a lot of corn or maybe not a lot of rice. And certainly the keto diet has no grains. So it's like we had the food allergies off at the pass with the diets we're talking about. And that's why I don't, as I said, pay a lot of folks' attention on food allergies. I don't tell people to get food allergy testing. I stopped doing that years ago because everybody with a leaky gut is going to have food allergies. And Valerie mentioned Dr. Vojdani, Ari Vojdani, Vojdani. Well, he was the immunologist that came up to Toronto and taught me and my staff how to do food allergy testing and yeast antibody testing. So I've been through that. I've been down that road and did it for a few years and realized I could get as much information from questionnaires, especially the yeast questionnaire, and that's where I developed the understanding that everybody's going to have some food allergy, antibody reactions to just about anything they're eating a lot of if they have an irritated, leaky gut, yeast-irritated, leaky gut. So that's my reasoning, and I rest my case.
I rest my case. Very good. Very good. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. So let's see. We've got about 7 minutes to the top of the show. And where are we here? I'm running through here trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody on the chat line. If I missed your question, go ahead and chat me right back and remind me where you were. I think we've gotten everybody covered except, here's Deborah. I had hyperthyroid Graves on methimazole, but Graves on antibodies are negative. But now I have antibodies for Hashimoto's. I believe I have yeast overgrowth. What is the protocol?
Well, that could be the Deborah we talked with. It sounds like that's the yeast book, Reset the Yeast Connection. So that might have been before she came on. Reset the Yeast Connection has the diet and the protocol.
Okay, very good. I'm sorry. Okay, I missed that part. All right, excellent. Okay, I heard the thing, but I didn't click it all together. All right, very, very good. Let's see. I think we're kind of caught up. Gary's doing a great job of keeping everybody inspired on the chat line, so Gary gets his gold star for the evening. Thank you very much, Gary. Very good. He's very, very much on Pico Silver and Remag duty, so we love that. And I think our callers are all caught up. Oh, Amy Drooping Eyelid. Amy, thank you. Amy Drooping Eyelid. Yes, she did type in earlier. That was scads of conversations ago. Let's see where she is. I know she's here. Hi, Dr. Dean. Is there anything I can do for a drooping eyelid? About 1 month ago it happened to my right eye only. It's not affecting my eyesight. Any suggestions?
Well, what's that condition? Trigeminal neuralgia, but that'll have pain. Right. Hard to say. Can be viral, that type of reaction. Did you get a Botox shot up there? Is it twitching? Personally, I'd be upping my Remag and taking a couple to 3 teaspoons of Pico Silver in case it's some sort of viral assault on the muscles. So that's what I think off the top.
Yes. Okay, very good. Excellent, Amy. Excellent. Very good. Yeah, Pico Silver, perfectly wonderful to be using around the eyes. Everybody seems to, our good dear friend Doug in customer service said he was putting a drop in his eye every day and to correct his eyesight. It's having an effect, and it's keeping his eyes from being dry and kind of tired after working on a computer for 6 hours at a time. And it seems like all of a sudden there's just been this little epidemic of people around me with little eye weirdness. They've all been using Pico Silver, and it's all been going away. So I think that's just precious how those things kind of come up that way. So very good. All right, so we're caught up on the chat line. We are caught up now. Carolyn, let's do something spontaneous. Let's have a business meeting.
Okay.
Are we doing a radio show next Monday night? It's Memorial Weekend.
Next week? Oh, right. I don't mind. Every day's a holiday for me. What about you? Are you going off somewhere? Are you going out in the boat?
I'm not going out on the boat, but I'm going to be traveling, and I think I might be back in time.
Well, we could take a break. I don't mind. Are you going to the wedding of the person who's in hospital? Do you think it's going to happen?
Yes. So he has to hurry up and straighten himself out, doesn't he?
He certainly does.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so next week there will be no show so that Ginny, for Pete's sake, can take a little tiny break.
Okay, very good. Excellent. All right, so no show next Monday. Wonderful. Okay. So what else shall we chitty-chat about amongst ourselves?
Well, it takes so much to answer all the mailbag questions, which I totally appreciate. Everybody was on point. It was awesome. We got a lot of information out there, but we never get to my twice-weekly blog.
Oh, your blog. Yeah.
So be sure to go to drcarolyndean.com for my blogs. The last one just yesterday was no long-term research on osteoporosis drugs. So the drugs they're using to cause your bones to be harder is actually making them more brittle, and there's a side effect of more breakage in the bones of people who are taking these osteoporosis drugs. And it turns out, we only tested them for 2 years, and now people are on them for 10 years, and dentists won't work on the mouths of people who are on these osteoporosis drugs, Fosamax, etc. The blog before that was sugar equals diabetes. Case closed.
Karen Boyd, before we say something about that osteoporosis, can we just also say this about the National Institute of Health and how everybody was just, their jaws were dropping when the newest research on magnesium and osteoporosis was being presented?
Exactly. Yes, they're finally coming up, or maybe presenting more in public that yes, your bones aren't going to be strong and well organized unless you have magnesium, and that's been in my magnesium miracle book for years. So yeah, people are catching up. Sugar equals diabetes is May 12th, and yes, I'm going to start hammering that more and more as I'm finishing up my Death by Sugar book. Any more than 2 teaspoons of sugar at a time is going to throw your body into shock. And here's best pre-workout supplements for women. I don't know where that came from. I didn't write it, so maybe one of my clones did it. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, how common is polypharmacy in old age? They don't say, they don't ask in this study, is there polypharmacy in old age? And it's like, yes, it's huge. Over 60%. Well, no, it's even more than that if the elderly are on drugs, and too many of them. Moisturizing for mental health is awesome. And here we are at the end of the 2 hours of an awesome radio show. Thank you, Ginny. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, listeners and callers.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jenny.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com.